Hello, my name's Elyse and welcome to my April plan with me. I'm sorry this upload is a little late, but I've got some new ideas to show you, so hopefully you'll enjoy the video and I can inspire you to try something new for your next monthly spread. So for this month, I decided on a musical theme, and it took me a long time to come up with a theme for this month. I just really struggled to find the time and the inspiration, and I managed to get myself into a bit of a state as time was running out and we were getting closer to the end of March. And eventually I just threw up my hands and said, what will be will be. And then all of a sudden, inspiration hit. The moral of this story is it's hard to be creative when you're stressing, so try and find a way to relax and inspiration might come. My son kind of inspired me to do this spread because he said to me the other day, the only thing better than music is Lego. So when I'd settled for music as my theme, I went over to Pinterest to help me flesh out the vision that I had in my head, and the following video is the result. I've said it before and I will say it again, Pinterest and Google are your best friends when it comes to finding new ideas and inspiration. Equally, watching bullet journal YouTube channels is a great idea, but if you're watching this video, you already know that, so I'll do my best to help you in your quest for inspiration. So I chose this theme because it's so easy for pretty much anybody to replicate. Piano keys, stars, decorative curls and musical notes are so simple to draw, and they don't need to be perfect to look good. I have a little A5 notepad with blank pages that I doodle in sometimes, and it's a great place to experiment because I don't mind if the pictures turn out rubbish. It's just a little rough notebook to experiment and have fun in, so it's a great way to practice drawing because there's no pressure to get things perfect. Then when I'm confident with a particular sketch or doodle, I can put it in my bullet journal, which I like to keep looking a bit neater and fancier. I'm so pleased with how this spread turned out. It's really simple, but it's bold and striking too. So for the whole of this spread, I'm using my trusty Staedtler fine liners. I went through a phase of trying other pens, and while I've found others that I like, I do keep coming back to the Staedtler because it's a great all-round pen. It doesn't ghost, it doesn't bleed when used with my Tombos, and as you've seen, it doesn't smudge when I use my ruler with it. I kind of swore off rulers a long time ago because I always found they smudged the pen, and because I can be a bit of a perfectionist, it really bothered me. So I just made do with drawing lines by hand. But I'm so pleased to have found that the Staedtlers don't smudge with a ruler, because while I do love the look of an all hand-drawn layout, using a ruler can be so much quicker, and you do get nice, neat, crisp lines, so it makes a nice change. I've kept my usual monthly layout style for April because I know it works well for my needs, but I'm getting a little bored of it now, so I'd like to try something new. So if you've got an Instagram page full of bullet journal porn, leave a link in the description because I'd love to start following more bullet journal Instagrammers, and you may even get a shout out on my next video if I use any of your ideas. So this is the new layout for my weekly spreads. It's very similar to what I've been using previously, but with a few tweaks. I've got an overall weekly view across the top, and my dailies are still laid out vertically because I prefer to write things in a list form. I've got the time of day running down the side of each daily where I've been tracking my sleep, and then I have my mini habit tracker along the bottom of the page. I've kept my mini calendar that highlights the current week I'm in, and here I have the zone I'm working on this week, which is inspired by Fly Lady. Then I created the Dutch door so that I can view the rest of the week while still being able to view my weekly calendar at the top. I've given myself space for notes and a larger space for Friday because that's usually my busiest day of the week. So I wanted to show you how I created that spread and give you some dimensions, because it took a bit of figuring out how to get it so that I'd be able to fit everything and still be able to fit in the 24 hours down the side of each daily. These top weekly boxes are all 5 by 5 squares, and when I wrote out my mini monthly calendar, I missed the first day of the month because it's only one day, and it would have thrown all my other measurements out if I'd included the extra week that the day falls on. But most of the months don't need the extra line. Only July and December this year will need space for 6 weeks, so it works for the most part. Then I've got my next cleaning zone. I'll be uploading a video of my cleaning spread, so you'll be able to check that out soon if you're interested. So I removed 6 full rows from the top to create my Dutch door, and each of these dailies is 13 squares across and 24 squares down, and I've left a gap of 1 square between each to keep them separated. The reason I've done the spread like this is because I really like writing in list form, but I felt that cramping the full 7 days across 2 pages just didn't give me enough space. So this layout was my solution to that problem. And then in a minute, I will be adding the hours down the side of each day. I like using it to track my sleep, but you could also use it to mark in when appointments are, or for colour coding how you split your time every day between things like work, rest, travel, family, studying, etc., etc. And then, I haven't finished writing my numbers, but when I finish writing my numbers, on the next page, I've given myself space for notes, and that box is 9 by 24 squares. My Friday box is 17 squares across, and my weekend box are 27 by 11 and a half squares. I don't mind these being horizontal because I don't usually have to do much at the weekends, so I tend to use the space more for journaling or reflection, so I don't usually need to make lists on those days. As you might have noticed, when I turn to a new week, I can still see my habit tracking at the bottom because I've cut that section of all the pages so that it's visible wherever I am in the month. This tracker is separate to my main tracker because these are habits that I'm consciously and actively trying to create and do on a daily basis. So not only does it keep them in my mind, but I can constantly see the progress I'm making or what I need to work on throughout the month. If you saw my March spread, you already know that I've changed the way I fill this out. I used to tick off the days I'd done something, but I found it to be quite disheartening to do it that way because even if I'd made an attempt to do one of the things that day but didn't quite complete it, I didn't feel like I could cross it off. So now I use different size dots to show how much effort I've put in. It's a much more accurate measure of how much progress I'm making, and it's much more rewarding to look at as it's a visual representation of just how much time and energy I'm putting in and how much progress I'm making, which ultimately encourages me to stick at the habits or try a little harder on days where I'm not feeling quite as motivated as I would like. I wanted to show another layout that still involves the Dutch door element because everybody's tastes are different, and I wanted to show you a variation that might work better for you. So this time I've got my weekly overview running vertically down the left-hand side. I'm sure not many of you are working on zones the way I am, so you could write in your main focus for the week here instead, be that work, family, health, friends, or anything else that you're working on. Because I'm not working with vertical dailies on this spread, there wasn't space to fit a full 24-hour log, so I've gone for my usual sleep log on the top left there, and it is 18 by 7 squares. All the dailies are 18 by 10 squares. Before I forget, I've actually come to the end of this journal, so I'm looking to buy a new one. This one that I'm currently using is a lemome, and I love it. I've bought 3 in total because they're such good quality and I love the thickness of the paper, but I'm wanting to try something new now. So if you have any suggestions for your favourite books for bullet journaling, feel free to let me know in the comments which one you would recommend and why, because I'd love to know. I've given myself more space for notes down the right hand side of the page, and I cut the Dutch door so that I would be able to see it no matter where I am in the week. The good thing about having a decent sized space for notes every week is that it eliminates the need for a brain dump or thoughts page, so it saves me space in my bullet journal and I can keep the notes relevant to the week that I'm in. So while I'm finishing this spread off, I thought I'd quickly tell you a bit more about Fly Lady. It's a system/routine to help you stay on top of keeping your home environment clean and just generally nice to be in. I've always struggled with keeping a routine and staying on top of housework, but I started using some of the Fly Lady tips and tricks and found that it's been really helping. So I've made a spread for that to keep me accountable and help me stay on track. And I'll be uploading a video to show you how it works and maybe give you a few tips on the things I've started doing that have finally made it easier for me to be consistently staying on top of things at home. So subscribe and hit the bell if you'd like to be notified as soon as I upload that video. So on my final page, I have my main habit and fibro tracker. I've got my activities and things I'm tracking at the top of the page. Then I've got my 4 graphs to track my mood, my pain levels, tiredness and fatigue levels, and if I'm feeling poorly or under the weather. On the right hand side, I've got a section that I fill out at the end of the month to help me determine if certain activities affect my mood and pain level and things. So that's the end of my April spread. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'll leave all the links to the stationery I'm using and the various ways to find me on social media in the description. And that's it from me. I hope you have a lovely April and I'll see you next time. Bye!